everybody, welcome. This is Bill's and my first session for Magnetic Workplaces, and we're so glad that you joined us. Today we are going to talk about the 3 strategies that are going to help you get more out of your employees. Because here's what happens in many organizations is you have a team that used to do great work and they're not doing great work anymore. So welcome. We're going to give you some strategies to start to help shift your organization. Bill, do you want to just give a little bit of an introduction about why we do Magnetic Workplaces in the first place and what we're all about?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kathy. Part of it is around productivity. So many organizations are looking to do more with less. And, we went through the 80s where everything was downsized or right-sized. Management was taking away all the fat, making sure that everything was essential. And to the point where today there's no more opportunities to make huge inroads in those areas. And yet, one of the things that research tells us is that 50% of workers will tell you that they put in just enough effort to keep their job.
Just enough.
And another 84%, yeah, if you could believe that, just enough effort to put in their job. And then 84% do better if they wanted to. So think about that for a minute. 84%, really quick math, I think that's like 5 out of every 6, are saying that they could do better, which really means that they could be more productive if they wanted to be.
And here's what I want to ask our listeners
what is it that stops them from being...
Sorry, Bill. I want to just ask our listeners, if you've ever not given it your all, give us a thumbs up. If you've ever been one of that 84% who's just put in enough to get by, give us a thumbs up. We want to know if you've ever experienced that. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. So to me, one of the really untapped resources for organizations if they want to get more from their people is to create environments where they really want to do a better job. And, most people when they came to work for you, they came to work with all kinds of excitement and enthusiasm, and they really wanted to do a good job. And somewhere down the line, they lost that.
Yeah.
And my guess is, for the most part, that was because the job didn't turn out to be exactly what they thought it would be, or nothing's been done to update it, or, any of a number of other reasons that have caused them to become disenchanted with the work.
Yeah. Bill, your phone is just sliding a little bit. We're not seeing your phone. There we go. Perfect. All right. Poor Bill's holding this. So bear with us as we go through our session today. So problem is 50% of the workers are putting in just enough effort to do their job, and 84% say they could do better. So what Bill and I have been working on is this sort of, not necessarily a measurement tool, but this framework to look at how workplace cultures or workplace organizations kind of feel. And we move it from toxic to tolerable to magnetic. And our theory is that the first thing that you need to do is identify where you are along that spectrum. So the toxic environment is one that's toxic. We had somebody comment yesterday that it felt hellish. The energy is sucked out of you in a toxic environment. In a toxic environment, there's lots of backstabbing and gossiping, and everybody's sick, and people take time off even when they're not really sick, and nobody wants to be there. That's kind of a toxic environment. Bill, you want to walk them through a tolerable and a magnetic?
Sure. Tolerable ones are where people are suggesting that, hey, this is a job. I get a paycheck. At the end of the day, I'm out of here. If I punch the clock at 4:31, I'm a minute late getting out. They're the environments where people, aren't really feeling that it's enough for them to leave, but certainly not enough for them to give their best shot at either. They really feel like it's, I put in an honest day's work and you're going to pay me for that honest day of work. Even though some of them, 84%, feel like they could do even better, right?
Yeah.
So the tolerable workplaces are the ones that, that I think most of us live in.
Yeah.
And one of the things to suggest too is that it's not that, you're one or the other of these 3 places on the continuum. There are times in a day even where you'll feel like you're in a really, really toxic workplace. And then later on in that same day, something happens where, it's a completely celebratory mood. And for a few moments, you become magnetic.
I should have put on the screen, Bill. Bill and I have this image that you guys can't see right now, but we have an arrow. And so when we talk about the continuum, it's like points on a scale, and toxic is at one end, magnetic is at the other, and tolerable is in the middle. But that tolerable one is like probably the longest portion of that arrow. So we have a visual. We'll share it with you soon.
Yeah, and in large part, it's the longest portion because all of the research is telling us that over half of the workforce is barely engaged in the work that they're doing. And that comes from so many sources now and they're coming up with the same figures. And every time you look at it, yes, you go, wow, that's exactly the same numbers that I've read in other situations. So, the reality is that many of us live in these tolerable workplaces, ones that are, enough for us to get through the day. They pay the bills for us, and so it's a really good environment in that regard. And yet we know something's missing. It could be better. We could be even more enthusiastic, more interested in the work that we're doing if we had the opportunity. And that's really where magnetic workplaces come in. Magnetic workplaces are the ones that, people walk into them and they go, wow, in general, this is a place that I can imagine myself being for the rest of my career. I really want to be here. The people are terrific. You get all kinds of support. You can make mistakes and people see that as a learning opportunity. It really is a situation where people feel actively engaged in the work of their organization.
Sorry, somebody gave us a thumbs up, Bill. I just want to see who's actually given us a thumbs up. I forgot when we, Joe Ryan probably is the one that gave us a thumbs up. Yay, there we go, Joe. He says, hey, love listening to you, Dr. Bill. I didn't know you were called Dr. Bill. Where the heck does that come from? Thanks, Joe, or John. Sorry, not John. John, thanks for giving me a new title I can call Bill by.
Thanks for that, John. Maybe.
As long as it's not Reverend Bill, we're good, I think.
Well, and John would know that I'm probably not a Reverend Bill. I have a feeling that John is John from Winnipeg, and I'm guessing that's or not Winnipeg, I'm sorry, but the northern part of Ontario. So, yeah.
All right. So we've got this continuum, Bill. Bill can't see our notes today. He says, haha, it's my pleasure. There you go, Bill. You've got a fan. I don't know. I need some fans, you guys. Where are my women? Where are you guys? Are you watching this? Bill's going to let this all go to his head soon, I think. All right. All right. Okay. So we're going to give you 3 strategies to move along the continuum today. So whether you are in a toxic environment, a tolerable environment, or you're even close to a magnetic environment, we want to teach you how to move along that continuum. And as Bill said earlier, at any given moment, you can, be in one room, in one meeting, or having a conversation. You can be at different points along the continuum. Kind of what we like you to look at different times is just get a snapshot of what it generally feels like for you. And that's kind of where you can go. But it's also a tool that you can gauge day to day. If you're having one of those days, you might be, we're like sliding backwards. And we can either keep sliding backwards or we can do some work to move forward. And that's our goal, is to give you the strategies to keep you moving forward. Maybe you do take one step back some days when it's chaos or, something's happening. But how do you keep moving forward? So, Bill, the 3 strategies that we're talking about, the problem with the first one is that people don't feel that they've been recognized for their contributions and efforts. That's the problem we have. What's the strategy we want to offer, Bill?
Well, I think the easiest way to address that one is to provide people with genuine appreciation for something that's specifically well done. And one of the things that we're finding is that most people, even in this age of electronic messaging and so forth, are really, really interested in receiving a handwritten note from their boss, expressing genuine appreciation for something specifically well done. And that's an interesting thing. I mean, one of the exceptions, perhaps, are the millennials who really do like using text messaging and emailing and Snapchat and so on. But a large portion of the workforce is still really interested in that personal touch that comes from a handwritten note.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. I have a 30-something-ish client, a female, and when she became a client of mine, I wrote a handwritten note and mailed it to her. And she responded with an email saying, I kept that and it's stuck on my wall. And then it was a little while later and I sent her a text message, like a month later or something, just as I hope your day's going well kind of thing. And I didn't get the same energetic vibe back from that as I did from the handwritten note. She totally appreciated that. And I think that's what we're talking about is when you take the time and effort to say you're a human being and I care about you, and I am taking time out of my day to acknowledge you in a special way, that makes the world of difference to people.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive either. I remember when I was a senior leader for a social profit organization, and I used to have, go down to the dollar store and pick up blank cards and have them sitting in my desk drawer. And I'd get about 8 of these thank you cards for $1.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the number of times I'd walk into people's offices and see them pinned on the bulletin board long after I'd given them to them.
And it doesn't even have to be that dramatic. It can be a sticky note, a sticky note, or if you're Kathy, a sticky note with stickers all smashed all over it. Because that's who I am. But yeah, that's kind of, whatever it is it's you or you have time for, make it just take tiny minutes out of your day, like a minute or two, to write that once in a while, and it makes a huge difference.
Well, I'm glad you raised the stickers, because what that reinforces is that personal touch, right? Yes. I'm sure that anyone who gets one of your notes with the stickers on it, they go, yeah, that's Kathy. That's truly her personality shining through. And really, that's what, for me, it was those cards. I got ones with, a particular style of cover on them. They were blank inside, but they had a particular cover on the outside, and it was my style. Yeah.
I just want to read a comment. John says, I started writing handwritten notes after Bill showed me the importance of this. Made a huge difference with my staff. Yay, John. I am 33 years old and sometimes use younger techie individuals. Sometimes us younger techie individuals lose sight of the importance of personalized notes. Well said. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, John. I think we do lose sight of that sometimes, and when we can rein it back in, it's the simple things in life. I mean, don't have a meeting without food. It might be another little added touch, but it's how do you make those tiny little things difference? Bill, you turn sideways. Oh, there we go.
Oh, sorry.
That might be Bill's special touch. You got 48 likes, Bill. I'm pretty sure those are all your likes. 53, what the heck? Okay, problem number 2. Number 2. People feel stagnant, stuck, and quite frankly bored. So that's the problem. The strategy is, Bill doesn't probably have this note in front of him, so I'll read it and then let Bill riff on it. The strategy is to provide opportunities for people to learn and grow in areas they want to grow and learn in. And that is job related. You want to add more to that, Bill?
Yeah, I do have the note. And one of the things that really I want to stress with this is that it's something that the person wants to grow in themselves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously going to be job related, but what is it that the people in your organization are interested in getting better at? Because if they're getting better at it, obviously it affects their job satisfaction in a positive way. It affects the productivity for your organization. Yeah. It affects profitability, no matter how you define that. I come from the social profit, or what other people would call the nonprofit sector. And there was always profit. It was about how we showed up in community. It was about how successful our programs were. So it's defined in different ways for different organizations. But, profit is always something that is of importance to organizations. So you want it to benefit the organization. But one of the things that we know is that people want to be able to learn and grow, to have challenge.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is to allow them the opportunities to, try something else out new. Perhaps try something that you could do in 10 minutes, but it's going to take them a half hour.
Yeah.
Because they've never done it before. So, finding those opportunities to let people have, an opportunity themselves to do things that perhaps normally you would do.
John added play to your strengths. And I think the key to that is also ensure that you're playing to your staff's strengths. So making sure, that you know their strengths. Bill does a great test around or assessment around identifying individual strengths. And then, using them and allowing those people to grow and develop in their way. Yes, it has to be job related to some degree. I remember years ago we had one employee, and we were social profit as well, and she wanted to do interior design. Not quite fitting. Although when we did do a new office, she got to be the one to decorate the new office. So, got to use her strengths in that way. But people want to grow and develop. And when we don't give them opportunities for that, they stagnate. We are born to continue to evolve and grow. And if we don't, we really start to just get grumpy and irritated and look for ways to entertain ourselves, which is often backstabbing and gossiping and causing trouble at meetings.
Yeah, it was quite a long time ago when we looked at, the way to get the most out of workers was to give them a simple task and have them repeat it time after time. So, think of the Ford Motor Company and their assembly lines, for instance, and you would be the guy in those days, only the guy in charge of putting on the left front tire.
That's right.
And that was all you did all day long.
Yep.
And what we discovered is that works pretty well for machines. It's a really good job for robots.
Yeah.
But when it comes to human beings, we need something that's going to hold our attention, something that's going to keep us focused.
Stimulating.
In ways that repetitive tasks don't.
That's right. All right. Problem number 3. People don't truly understand the mission, vision, and goals of the organization. And the strategy, Bill?
Well, this is an interesting one because typically people see, developing a vision or an idea of what the future is going to look like as being, a senior level decision. And more and more what we're discovering is that we need to allow people to co-create that vision or that idea of what the future should look like, because people commit to what they help create. And I want to say that again because I really believe strongly in this one. Mm-hmm. People commit to what they help create.
Yeah.
So if you allow people to be part of what the solution is ultimately going to be, they're going to buy into the solution more. Yeah. They're going to, because they've had an opportunity to talk about how it all should come down, they're going to be the ones that are supportive of it. They're going to be the ones who are taking it out and making sure that it's implemented correctly.
Well, and when you let people be involved in the mission and vision and creating that, and we don't just mean the one that's in the binder on the bookshelf, we mean the actual living, breathing mission and vision. When you let people be involved in that, it also helps them align that with their values. And what they see when you create that together is, do I belong to this organization or not? Because if my personal values aren't aligning with the work we're doing, then I'm really clear that maybe this isn't the organization I want to work for. But when I see that, wow, we're committed to the same thing, like personally, the reason I get up every morning and, live my life is the same as my organization's, that creates that loyalty, that sense of commitment, that sense of belonging. And so part of that process of creating that shared vision mission is getting people to talk about their own values and visions. Where do you want to be in 5 years? What are you passionate about? What hills are you willing to die on? And get people talking about that so you can bring that shared creativity together.
Yeah, that's really so important. Being willing to take the time to actually slow down in order to speed up.
Yeah.
People often say, well, we don't have time to sit down and have the conversations that you're talking about right now. We need to get this product out the door, or we need to make sure that this process is in place by such and such a deadline. Well, the reality is that if we actually took the time, slowed down, we would find that our pace of work would increase dramatically simply because people are on the same page, they're working in the same direction,
Yeah.
all the oars are moving in the water at the same time and at the same speed.
Absolutely.
And so it really do recommend that people, slow down in order to speed up.
It's true. It's true. When you take that time, it makes an incredible difference. All right. What else did we want to make sure we covered today, Bill? Those are the three things. So I'll go through them again for everybody. There's three problems that we've identified, and then we've identified the strategy. The first problem, why organizations are often toxic or simply tolerable, is people don't feel recognized. They don't feel like they are acknowledged or honored or seen as a human being. And the strategy that you can use for that is to write a simple note of recognition for them, a thank you note, a handwritten note, a note on a sticky, something that acknowledges them as a person. Bill's just making you guys dizzy. The second one is that people feel stagnant, stuck, and quite frankly bored. And the strategy that we offered is that we provide opportunities, or that you need to provide opportunities for people to grow and develop in their areas of interest and strength, as long as they're aligned with the organization. So making sure they're doing that. You want to touch on the third one, Bill? Just recap.
You bet. The third one was that people don't truly understand the mission, vision, values, or goals of the organization, and in particular, their particular role within the organization. And the strategy that we're suggesting to you is that vision, that idea of what the future ought to look like, should be co-created by having conversations and allowing people to express, what their hopes and expectations and concerns and fears might be around the direction of the organization or the team.
Yeah.
I've got one more that I'd like to throw out, Kathy, as a bonus.
Sure.
And that is, for those of you who don't know, Kathy is an excellent executive coach. And one of the things that helps people become the best they can be is coaching and mentoring.
Yeah.
Now, that can be a relationship like Kathy has with her clients, but it can also be an informal relationship, particularly if you're talking about mentoring, where you have skill and knowledge and expertise in an area that would really help somebody else within your organization. Take them under your wing, give them a little bit of love, and help them, feel their way in new areas of growth.
2 seconds. You're very welcome, John. I'm guessing you have to run. Thank you for joining. And Bill will put on his bulletin board all of the likes you have given him. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
I think you're right, Bill, that whatever way, I was just reading a study from the Ontario Nonprofit Network around women in nonprofits. And one of the things that they were saying is what we were talking about a minute ago is we don't get training. We don't get personal development. But another one that they said was there's not a lot of opportunities for mentoring and developing ourselves, or coaching, or teaching, whatever it is. And here's one of the challenges that we have, and I'll speak specifically to women, is that there's not a lot of mentors above us, because so many of the sort of mentors in the business world are men. Women struggle to find female mentors, or men struggle to find the mentors that they want to help develop them in the ways they want to develop. So don't wait for your organization to offer you a mentor or a coach. Don't wait for them to find something for you. Create it yourself, and it's often on the side. It's not like within your workplace. It might be that you see somebody in a network meeting and you really admire the way they lead. Ask to go out for coffee with them. Or maybe it's somebody online that you follow. There's, a ton of opportunities out there online to do Facebook, or watch Facebook Lives as we're doing, TED Talks, do online training. Brene Brown's got a whole list of stuff that you can do. There is through a lot of the edX and I can't think of the other one. There's free online university courses. There's tons of places to find people to follow and allow those people to mentor you. And I think that's something that we forget sometimes, is we wait for our organizations to hand it to us. And what I want to tell you is go look for it. Your job as a leader is to develop yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to do it for you. Take responsibility for that and find it in a creative way. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now.
I think that that's a perfect soapbox to be on, and you know, I would just add to that you know, what we're talking about here are soft skills, and one of the things that keeps coming up in my work with people in you know, in the so-called hard skills profession is that they're finding a greater and greater need for people in their businesses, in their industries, who have soft skills. In fact, I do some teaching in a business faculty, and one of the things that we're finding consistently from you know, prospective employers is they want the university to train young people in the so-called soft skills of communication, leadership, conflict management, and so on.
And have you read Daniel Pink's newest book?
Not the latest one.
Yeah, well, it basically says that. And he's very clear that's not his world. He's like he wants like tick boxes and, you know, the analytical side. And he said the people with soft skills are the ones that are going to get ahead, and that we need to be teaching people those soft skills. So, you know, this isn't just Bill and Kathy preaching it. It is definitely coming from the scientific and research-based world out there, that these are the skills that people need to learn and grow and develop in themselves.
Yeah.
The other thing, Bill, that we wanted to touch on, and if you're watching live, thank you for sticking with us this long. If you're watching on the replay, thank you for sticking with us this long. Bill and I, as you can see, can riff on each other and go for a long time. That's why we decided maybe these Facebook Lives might be an entertaining idea for you all. But when we're talking about a lot of these skills, one of the key points that we're going to emphasize again and again and again is it takes some courage and vulnerability to do this. These aren't easy things to apply. This isn't for the faint of heart. You've got to be willing to do some things that are uncomfortable, that are awkward, that are weird, that are scary. If you've never handwritten a note and handed it to anyone before, I can guarantee you that's going to be weird, and they're going to take it and go, huh? What is this? You know, who are you? Where did this come from? And so all of this stuff that we're going to be teaching you over the next while is really stuff that you're going to have to get outside your comfort zone to apply. You want to add?
Yeah, it really does require some courage, you know, and one of the things we'll talk about in later videos and blogs and so on is this idea of working both on your inner self and then taking that work and expressing it in your regular outer world, so with other people. And, you know, it sometimes takes a leap of faith or some vulnerability to take what you've learned about yourself and share that with others. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, it takes some vulnerability to be willing to accept the feedback from others in your external world and then take that inside and do some self-reflection around it.
Any questions you guys have for us, whether you're watching now or on the replay? Again, thank you for tuning in and listening to all of our ideas. But if you have questions for us, you can ask them now, or like I say, when you post them on the replay, we'll get them. If you have a question for one or the other of us, just tag our name and we'll try and answer it individually, or you'll get a combined answer for both of us. Practice makes progress, not perfection. Amen to that, John. And, you know, that's deliberate practice. If you've done any of the research around the mindsets and knowing the stuff around growth mindset and the whole 10,000 hour rule, it's deliberate practice, which means you are practicing outside of your comfort zone. You are not practicing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star for 10 years. You are practicing scales that feel uncomfortable, weird, and awkward. That's what's going to help you develop that growth mindset. That's what's going to help you become an expert in the field that you're trying to become an expert in. And yes, we are never, ever, ever looking for perfection. I'm looking for excellence, but I'm not looking for perfection anymore. Practice makes progress is a great line to use.
Very nice. I like that a lot. I may steal it, John.
Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. Not sure when we're doing our next live, but if you have topics you want us to touch on, comment, send us a message, let one of us know personally, and we'll continue to come back and, as I say, entertain you and enlighten you and share some, hopefully, wisdom with you so that you can move you and your team and your organization from either that toxic or tolerable culture to a magnetic one where you all love to come to work every day. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.